Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome yet again to another episode of Dinner Guide. My name is Chef Andy, and today I've got something interesting for you all. I'm going to be showing you how to make a very simple salad that you can actually be able to give to your guests, your children, or your family just hours or minutes before serving the main course. So this particular recipe calls for very, very simple techniques, as I'd mentioned in the previous episodes, which is basically nutrition, being cost effective, and also being easy and taking as little time as possible. So for this particular reason, I'm going to introduce the ingredients foremost, and then we'll proceed to the preparation of the dish. So from the front, I've got some chicken breast there. I've also got some unsalted butter and some olives. I've also got one piece of tomato there, some cut up courgette. I've also got some feta cheese. I've got one imported orange, a bit of some cooked sweet potato. I've also got some fresh parsley here, a bit of lettuce at the back, and on this end I've got some soy milk, some natural yogurt, some mixed berries, a bit of tomato paste and some curry paste, and last but not least, some iodized salt. So without further ado, we're going to jump straight into this dish, but before we do so, we're going to take a short break. And this is your chance to now grab your pens and papers if you're going to be taking notes for this particular recipe. So see you after a short while. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be doing something interesting today. As I mentioned in the introduction, we're going to be making a very, very simple dish. We're going to be making a salad today. We're also going to be making a berry smoothie that can actually be served alongside this particular appetizer or starter. And I'm actually going to be giving you some nice small tips on how to actually make a chicken salad look more appetizing, more of a thrill to most of your dinner parties, and best part, making it even more appetizing to your children at home. So without further ado, I'll start by browning some of my chicken. So I'm going to just first of all start by cutting this into strips. So this calls for me to move that to the board, and basically all I'll do is first of all take out that flap at the bottom, and then next up we're just going to start off by cutting those into some nice beautiful thick strips, and I'll do the same with the remaining piece. Right, so simple as that. Next up, we're going to be marinating this slightly, or just seasoning it rather. So which means we'll add that to a bowl. And to that, we'll also be incorporating a bit of that red curry paste. So about half a teaspoon. And one heaped teaspoon of tomato puree. Last but not least, a bit of salt for seasoning. And all we're going to do now is just mix that through. Right, and just to finish that off, just a bit of apple cider vinegar, some freshly grounded black peppercorns as well, and last but not least, just a tiny bit of olive oil. So what you need to do now is just mix that through, making sure to coat all the chicken in with that with your marination. And next up, we're just basically going to move this to a pan. So I'm just going to turn up my heat a little bit and add about a tablespoon and a half of olive oil. Right, so now our chicken's now nicely mixed up, so we're just going to allow that to just sit in there as our pan heats up. And I'm also going to just swirl my pan, making sure that all the oil can actually be able to cover most of the bottom part of the oil. And all that's left to do now is add your chicken strips. Right, something you also need to do is be sure to split them up while they're in the pan. So this basically allows them to get a beautiful searing all around. Right, so we're just going to continue cooking those, and we're just going to allow that to continue for a few seconds. I'll also just grab my tongs, and basically all you need to do now is just turn them once. Right, so once you basically cooked them, browned them on one side, and you turn them once already, you're now going to just reduce your temperature and allow them to continue cooking really slowly. And while that continues, I'm also going to be adding something interesting to the chicken. So we're going to add just a little bit of some butter. And one particular advantage to this is basically it actually gives it a very, very beautiful silky finish. And second of all, it also enriches it with a very, very beautiful buttery flavor. Right, so simple as that. And I'm now just going to shake my pan and move it around a little bit, just allowing the butter to really just spread out onto the pan. And all you need to do now is continue to toss your chicken around that beautiful sauce. Right, we will also be incorporating a few of the dried herbs that I have, the fresh herbs that I have at the back here. So I'm going to take a nice generous bunch of some fresh parsley. And I'll start off by just taking off the bits with the stems and just chop the rest of the leaves really finely. Right, so basically for this, for the parsley, we're just going to reserve that just for a little bit, and we're basically going to incorporate that to the chicken shortly. Now your chicken pieces are just about done. Just going to toss them slightly in that butter a little bit. And to that, we'll now add our chopped parsley. And basically all you want to do is just rock your pan a little bit, and if you have a wooden spoon you can also use it. And basically all you need to do now is just quickly coat your chicken in that beautiful freshly chopped parsley, and then turn off the heat. And basically we're now going to take this out of the pan and just allow it to cool off on the side slightly. Right, simple as that. So we're basically going to now allow our chicken to rest slightly, and basically remember we're going to be adding that to a salad, so we definitely want it to cool off completely. But we are also going to be doing something else in this same pan. So I'm just going to turn on the heat again, and without rinsing it, with all the ingredients in there, all I'm left to do now is take my beautiful sweet potatoes, and all I'm going to do now is just peel them real quickly. So I'm just going to take the skins out of the sides. Right, and we're just going to do the same for the rest of the pieces. And just continue to do the same until you have all your pieces completely peeled. Right, simple as that. Now all you're left to do is just cut those into halves and add them into the pan. And all you want to do now is just quickly just toss those in there and just allow them to just get a beautiful coating. And to that I will also add just a little bit of butter. And last but not least, the chopped up zucchini. And we can basically discard the rest. And all we are going to do now is just saute those together. You're definitely going to start getting a bit of a burnt flavor and a bit of a beautiful buttery aroma. And once you get to this particular stage, all you need to do now is just lightly season with a bit of some freshly ground black peppercorns and a bit of salt for seasoning. And basically now we can just turn off the heat and then just keep tossing those until they're just nicely roundly coated. And we can now transfer those onto a plate on the side and also allow those to cool off real quickly. Right, so simple as that, easy peasy. I'm sure most of you can be able to do that yourselves now. But now the particular trick to setting up a salad, as I mentioned earlier in the show, there are many ways to actually really come up with a good salad, especially if you're making it yourself at home. And these are some of the particular techniques that I mentioned. Sometimes you actually want all your ingredients or some of your ingredients to just carry a more continuous flavor in your salad. So it is basically why I actually marinated my chicken and then tossed the potatoes in the same pan. So basically what happens is you've got a little bit of, you've got more seasoning on the chicken, which is basically the meat, and it's what stands out in the salad. And then you have this beautiful sweet potatoes, beautiful buttery and sweet, and then you've got the beautiful butteriness of the courgettes, and that just basically just assembles and just puts all those flavors together. So easy as that. I'm now just going to turn my board around, and we're just going to proceed on to the next part of the dishes that we're going to be doing today. And as I mentioned, we are also going to be doing a smoothie. And for that, you will require some soy milk. You'll require also some natural yogurt and some beautiful berries there. I'm actually using some conveniently bought frozen berries. So in there, I've got a mix of some blueberries, I've got some raspberries and some strawberries. So just to add to that, we are also going to be adding just a bit of orange, just to give it a bit of a citrusness to it. And I'll start off by just segmenting about half of my orange. I'll just take off the end bits like that, and just using my knife go around the inside, and that should be able to actually give you some beautiful peeled orange. So we're just going to throw that into the blender and discard the rest. And next up, we're gonna go in with our berries with the juice. And then a bit of that beautiful Greek yogurt. I'm just going to grab a spoon quickly. So for the Greek yogurt, remember I'm only incorporating yogurt to this dish to give it a bit of a thickness. So I'm going to add about 5 tablespoons. And last but not least, a bit of that soy milk. And now basically all that's left to do is just blitz this. So we're just going to move this quickly to the blender at the top here. And ladies and gentlemen, it is as simple as that. So what you've just been able to watch me do is just put together a very, very beautiful detoxing smoothie. So this particularly is very good for detox. As I mentioned, we are working on a few basic recipes that are basically targeting nutrition and a bit of a relief with the expenses. So this is now ready. We are just going to allow that to sit on the side for a little bit. I'm also going to take a bit of time to clean my station up, and we're actually also going to jump into a short break. And when we do come back, I'm going to show you how you can actually present your smoothie a little different from what we've done in the past. I'll also show you to assemble a very, very simple salad, and we're just going to continue and end the show. So without further ado, let me actually start cleaning up, and when we do come back, we're just going to go into it. So see you after a short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are just tuning in, we're just about to finish off a salad that we were working on earlier. And I'll start off by grabbing a beautiful salad bowl at the back here. So remember, for some of you that are tuning in, for some of you that are just catching up with us, we do have some grilled chicken here that we did a little earlier. I also have some sweet potatoes tossed with a bit of zucchini that I also sauteed in the same fat from the chicken. I also have a few other ingredients here that I'm actually going to now show you some techniques of plating. So we're just gonna go straight into it and start with our lettuce. So first off, I like to take the core root off, and you can discard that. And basically, all you need to do, remember these have already been washed, so I'll always insist, clean them thoroughly before you start cutting and using them in your salad. Remember, lettuce cannot be cooked, so it definitely can actually poison you and actually affect you really, really seriously. So always take some time to make sure you clean them really well. So I'll start off by just chopping up that beautiful lettuce. And we're gonna add that to a bowl. And remember, particularly for lettuce, it really actually just contains quite a bit of water and doesn't have much flavor. So I particularly at this stage like to season it a little bit with a bit of some ground black peppercorns. So this should actually enable you to actually get a beautiful zing from the lettuce, and it shouldn't be too faint and dry. And we're just going to give that a quick mix. Right, simple as that. So I'll just proceed to move those onto the plate. So very, very particular technique of plating that's the simplest. I like to just grab my lettuce in small bits like that and just continue stacking it while creating a bit of a height on the plate. Remember, one particular selling point for your salad is a salad with a bit of height always looks a little fresher, always appeals, and it does stand out from anything just regularly sitting on a flat plate. So simple as that. Okay, so very simple technique. Start off with your salad into the plate, sorry. Next off, just grab a piece of tomato. So I'm just going to take about half of this tomato and just slice that into some wedges. And with this, I'm actually just going to go around and place them right around my plate like that. So basically the idea is to just create a bit of a balance. Right, simple as that. Next up, we're gonna go in with a bit of our feta cheese. So I'm just going to take a spoon from the side and basically start to place your chunks of feta onto the plate. And remember, as you keep plating, it's always also just better off to plate slowly and surely. This also just enables you to keep your plate really clean, as you can see, and it actually makes it less of a stress to actually try and become creative. So I always like to insist it's always easier to start plating and go around in a system. It's also advisable if you're not very keen on plating this, so you could always just mix everything in the bowl and just plate it up, but just remember to always give it that bit of height. So next up, remember, we're just building everything as we continue. So now, so far we have some tomato, we've got some feta and some lettuce. Next up, I'm also going to be adding some of that beautiful charred sweet potato. So I'm just going to place those right adjacent to the feta cheese. Just like that, all the way around. Just gonna clear this off the table. Right, simple as that. And lastly, one right in the center. And just to quickly just refresh those zucchinis and just give them a bit of a beautiful coating from that oil. Just mix them up really quickly in your plate. And you can start by just going around and sprinkling your zucchinis in small bits. So you'll actually start to notice your salad will start to really appeal as you continue towards the very end. But as I said, it's always crucial, if you're going to be plating it and you have enough time, always go slow. It will actually reflect when it gets to the table. Right, so your zucchinis are in. And now, last but not least, we're gonna go in with our chicken. So I'm just going to go around while rotating my plate like that, just making sure to have just a bit of chicken just sitting just lazily around the plate, and then finish off by adding some of that chicken right at the top. Now you're basically now almost done, and your last and final step would just be to place those beautiful black olives onto the plate. And as you can see, they do actually give a bit of a wow effect. They do actually just give a beautiful break of that green and the red and the yellow. So as I mentioned, it's always about just trying to break the pattern and actually just try and improvise it by using different ingredients with different colors. And all I'll do now is just wipe my plate around the edges. And that is now ready to serve. I would serve it just like that. And now, last but not least, I do also have the berry smoothie that we had made a little earlier, but it's always nicer to refresh it before I actually pour it out. I'm just going to throw it in here and just blitz a little bit. And that should actually give you quite a bit of oomph, and it should actually give you a bit of a chance to actually mix up all the ingredients once more. Now the last and final stage, I'm going to show you something really simple that you can all try at home. It's just one of the many techniques to try and really give a beautiful finish to a beverage or a drink that you may be making at home. And it's very, very simple. I'm just going to use some regular straws, and I've also got a second cup here. So very simply, I'm just going to cut that straw in half. And now, as I said, this is just some different techniques you can actually use yourselves at home. And yeah, we're just gonna go in and pour our smoothie right through there. Just have that on the plate. And basically, I particularly like to use this for decoration. So you can actually use some color straws to actually just beautify a drink. I would just put them right across the top like that. And that should actually be a little more interesting and a little more appealing to your kids. So from my end, this is as simple as it gets. And as I mentioned, even from the beginning of the show, this particular season is about convenience. It's about freshness. It's about watching your budget and sticking with the very best of what you can create in your home with the smallest of budgets. And I think we've managed to achieve just that. So from my end, it has been a pleasure being with you today. I do hope you've learned something new, and I do hope you're going to be tuning in to see many more different dishes that we'll be coming up with on this particular show. So from my end, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Chef Andy, and I have been your host today. And until the next episode, where we continue to bring you some very, very beautiful dishes inspired by our own creations, it has been a pleasure being with you. And until the next time, see you soon.